I'll open it up to Coach Kampersal, opening statement, and then we'll open to questions after that.
Okay, well, again, thank you for coming, and nice to meet you all. When you finish like one season and start the next, you feel like you have a lot of time to prepare spring, summer, and then in reality, it just feels like it goes by in a heartbeat, which it did. But we did have a productive time as a team where we really focused on reshaping our culture. So I think it's as strong as it's ever been since we've been here. Players did a really good job in the summer in terms of testing, coming back like physically stronger, faster. So we should be better in those areas as well. And then so far we've been allowed 8 hours a week, not necessarily on the ice, but we spent about 3.5 hours a week on the ice. And the things that we're doing, the players are competing really hard, and the energy level is high. So we're excited to get going this Saturday in a scrimmage. It's still technically, for us, we consider it, we have a lot of respect for Durham, the team we're playing, but just we consider it still training camp, and then getting into the real schedule season starting Monday, getting ready for Holy Cross. But this weekend scrimmage will hopefully give some clarity to roles and where to put people in terms of positioning, and still the players are competing that out, and hopefully a lot of them take decisions out of my hands and make it easier for me.
Okay, open it up to questions.
Coach, Natalie, among others, obviously had some national team experience over the offseason. What have you been able to glean from them about their experience, and what's sort of the feedback you got from them on how it went?
Yeah, well, I think each individual experience when they go home and play for their countries, or in Natalie's case, like going to Lake Placid to play for USA, they play with fellow great players, so they can talk amongst themselves in terms of tips that they have that they can use during the year. But from my conversations with Natalie, she said she thought she had a really good 2 weeks, or excuse me, maybe it's like 10 days. However long she was up there, she thought it was. She thought she did a good job. She thought she probably deserved a better fate in having a crack playing against Canada in that series. But hopefully the USA Hockey has given her good feedback in terms of her own game. But knowing Natalie, she's a great competitor. She's had a great 2 years. She looks like she's in the best shape she's been so far. So we expect big things from her based on her 2 years experience here, and then with her experience at USA Hockey.
Coach, to kind of piggyback off that, Jessica Adelson entering her sophomore year, obviously a Swedish national team player, the first national team player that Penn State has had in its program history. What do you expect from her in year 2, and just her development, and what all she can do both on and off the ice?
Yeah, Jess is incredibly mature. I have a lot of respect for what she's done. She literally stepped off the plane from Sweden last June for summer 2 session. Her English is really good, but like just coming from home to Penn State and meeting like a whole new, everybody in her life that she's meeting is brand new. She acclimated like quickly. She did really well in school, which is awesome to see. And as her hockey career during her first year progressed, I think she got better as the year went on. I thought her last half of the season she was really dominant. And so Jess has put in a lot of hard work over her lifetime in terms of being a great player. But sometimes she has the confidence, but she needs to remind herself that she can be dominant. And she was that second half, she controlled a lot of the power play on the top. She earned her way onto the Swedish national team. And again, we expect big things from her. Super mature, a leader already, someone that's helping us reshape the culture of the program. Can't be happier to have her here.
And Coach, a lot of your scoring came from your underclassmen last season. Obviously, the year of maturity certainly helps. What are you sort of expecting from them in terms of next steps as far as leadership goes with the team?
Yeah, next steps. Well, it's kind of interesting this year. You mentioned that they're younger, or last year they all transitioned. So we are a senior and a junior heavy team. So we will hopefully rely on the players that have been here for 3 years to their leadership in terms of what the coaches are asking them to do. Offensively, we have 3 newcomers up front that'll hopefully add to the offense that we already have. For us, it's still like, I mean, Natalie's kind of a sniper, like Brooke Madsen is a tenacious player. Katie McMillan last year had, I think, just an incredible season. I know she'll come up here and speak later on, but she was a jack of all trades. Abby Welch provided toughness, so you can just go down the line. But we need, as hard as we work, we need to produce more. We've been focusing that on in the training camp so far, and that's easier said than done. But they've put the work in to understand the concepts that we're given, to apply them, and we're trying to get our Ds more involved in the offense, like on the rushes and whatnot. So we're just trying to. I think we've all, like the first 2 years we've been defense first, and now we're trying to transition a little bit and to be attack first and take our chances that way.
Coach, going off that last question, last year the team advanced to the CHA semifinals for the second time back-to-back, and it had its second best win total in program history. So how are you looking to not only continue that success, but also to elevate it this season?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like for right now, like I mean, every sort of game that we show up and they put the clock on and there's a scoreboard, we want to compete and try to win that game. But success isn't about the wins and losses yet for our team. It's just consistently like showing up and playing hard, and again like buying into like what's going on. And so if we do that, it's a little cliche-ish, but if we get like 1% better every day, maybe our record will be better. Like ideally, we're trying to focus in on the second half of the season, which is mainly our CHA schedule, and try to do a little bit more damage in the CHA playoffs and win it. Like we have, our league is so tight. I think we're predicted 4 overall, but I feel like based on last year, that is what it is, but it's not how it's going to be. I feel like we'll make noise at the end, and we have with the juniors and seniors, like I mentioned, the heavy junior and seniors, that we have a shot to win it all. So that's our goal.
And is that something that you sort of put on the bulletin board and say, hey, that they think you guys are only this good, or is it something you try to do more?
Again, like just every day, like that's a long-term goal for sure. But every day trying to get better. But also like these players who've been here, this is their last go-around. I do remind them like this might be their last weekend at Syracuse. It might be their last weekend at Mercyhurst. So one, to like really enjoy it, enjoy each other. But this is your time. Like how do you want to be remembered as a Penn State hockey player?
And you guys have a fairly difficult non-conference schedule: Wisconsin, Providence, BU, among others. What sort of goes into scheduling those non-conference games? And, how do you feel about the challenge that they'll give your team early on the season?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we're still sort of finishing up prior scheduling. We were able to add like Wisconsin, which is a good addition. But primarily, like I got a lot of advice from Matt DeRosa's coach at Clarkson when Clarkson was in their earlier stages of their program. In order to be the best, like we want to play the best, so we got Wisconsin on there. In the future years, we're going to be playing like Duluth, Boston College, Minnesota. We'll go down the line and try to play the best best non-conference competition that we can to prepare ourselves. Like we really believe that this program should be a top 5 national level program each and every year. And so in order for us to get to that point, we need to see like how hard those firsthand see how hard those programs work, like a program like Wisconsin coming up, and then realize like what it takes to get to that level, and that's why we'll put them on the schedule.
So, Coach, this is a fairly new program, and you've been here around 3 seasons. From your previous coaching position, has it been an adjustment period at all, or has it been pretty smoothly thus far?
This particular year, or just the time? Well, in general, like definitely. I think probably Katie Stone and I are the longest tenured D1 coaches. So I've been around a long time. But yeah, like the first 3 years seem like starting like all over again. Not necessarily from a hockey perspective, but just learning a new campus, learning all that it entails. The players have been awesome. Everyone surrounding here, there's a lot of passion and pride in Penn State, and I appreciate that. But to maybe answer your question, I don't feel comfortable yet, but like we're getting there with that comfort level. Will hopefully it'll settle into a routine, and ideally, like one of the goals, one of the questions about success. One of my goals is to have me do less and to have our team like run itself. And so when the players are running it and it's a tight ship, those years are usually the best years. The more that I get involved are usually the years that aren't as good. So we're still going through adjustment basically. So sometimes it's like in the first year is like different, some different road trips, like say Lindenwood, like different travel, like trying to, I don't know, we have different flights. We're able to like fly a little bit easier to Wisconsin this year. Sometimes our buses are longer, so trying to get used to like different eating patterns. We're trying to stay on a normal schedule as possible for our kids, and so we're not eating late at night or just like weird times for them. So all that stuff like that are like technically small things. They're big things, and we're getting there to be comfortable.
Coach, talk to us a little bit about the incoming freshman class, each player individually. If you could just give us a quick look at Julie Goff, Michaela Lanto, Rachel Weiss, and Mallory.
Yeah, so Julie played on Durham, the team that we're playing on Saturday. So those are all her ex-teammates. She is a player similar probably to Katie McMillan, who can play any of the forward positions and play D. Like she'll start up front. She's competitive. She's got a heavy shot. The PW League, the Provincial Women's Hockey League Ontario, I find we feel is one of the better ones to prepare players to most prepare players for college. In particular, the CHA, like our league, is kind of a more physical league. So Julie will fit in nicely in terms of that. So we look for her to produce goals, points, whatever you call it. Michaela played at Bell Tire program, and that program's been perennially successful. I forget their fate. I don't know if they won the 19s in the USA Hockey. They're either in that final mix, but she's an awesome kid. She works hard, great shape. Again, will fit nicely in our league in terms of toughness along the wall, getting to the net, causing havoc in front of the net. She's great tipper, screener. She does kind of all the dirty work things that make teams successful. Mallory was a U18 USA hockey defenseman. Her high school has won multiple. Dinah has won multiple state championships in Minnesota. She's very smooth skater. Always has her head up. Makes great breakout passes. And as a D, that's what we go and recruit for: skating, being able to move the puck and make that first pass. And Mallory's very good at that. Like she'll fit it. Like she'll excel, I think, like right away because of her skating ability. And then Rachel Weiss was a Canadian U18 member. She won a gold medal this past January, and she's a great skater too. She's super fast, so we actually have to incorporate some things to utilize her speed. But she played a POE, which is another great program like out West Canada, and we're excited for her again with a national championship under her belt and the leadership that comes along with it and the experience. We're counting on her to be a big time player for us right away.
You've mentioned that you have a very heavy senior and junior class, and also you've talked about the prowess, I guess, of the freshmen coming in.
Yeah.
How do you think that the leadership on both ends will affect each other or inspire each other?
Well, essentially, like we're a team that we feel like we have 24 leaders and 24 followers, and so we've actually made it to a point where almost like I saw an interview with Zdeno Chara after one of the Bruins games, and for the Bruins, they try not to have any hierarchy in their team, and so we don't want that either. So if we're going to a team meal, it's not like whoever's getting to the line first is probably gonna eat first. So it's not like senior first, freshman last. There's no freshman duties or anything like that. So everyone's like really like pulling together, trying to just have group projects like all the time, lean on one another. And if the freshmen have like first year questions about what we're doing on the ice, then anyone can step up and help them. And again, going back, if our juniors and seniors can run the show and be good role models and mentors, then those younger players will have no issue. And I think we'll be pretty good if that does indeed happen.
And in terms of the on-ice adjustment for those 4 newcomers, in your experience, what is sort of that learning curve, or sort of how long does it take for newcomers to sort of get used to the speed of hockey at the college level?
Yeah, I guess it depends, because some of them won't have an issue with the speed, some might have an issue with the physicality of our league, and so it's weird. Like when we start getting into Syracuse, Robert Morris, and Mercyhurst, those series are way different than the other ones. And so they have to, just the little things that come up in play, like face-off interference and getting clobbered in the corners, and being able to reverse charges or stay disciplined and not take retaliating penalties, like those things. But in terms of being like hockey players, like they're all very good. I don't think there's a ton of there won't be a ton of transition time in terms of that. It's just a few things where some of the maybe the way that we forecheck through the middle of the ice, or some systems, we try not to like bog down anybody with systems where we try to give them habits and concepts. So it's just a matter of like picking up the things that we think that are important, but it should be no time. And as it is, like just the overall state of the game, it keeps getting like better and better. And eventually it will all even out where there's some discrepancy in terms of the level of teams. Like, in 5 years from now, it'll be like very minimal. So the players, the next year's freshmen will be, hopefully be better than this year, and the kids after that will hopefully be better.
Coach, your team's always been a pretty stout defensive team, and a lot of that last season had to do with the play of Jenna Brennan in the net. What can you say about the defensive unit this year? Obviously, the captain of the team, Kelsey Crow, no longer here, but you still have a lot of depth on defense, a lot of players that have played significant minutes, and you have Jenna and even her backup Chantel and Cam that have had some playing experience. What can you talk about the defensive unit as a whole?
Yeah, just again, like those first 2 years, and when I say like attack first mentality in year 3 here, we're still very like defensive, very defensive responsibility. Like we don't play free. Like we play D here at Penn State, and we'll focus on like pinning the D and the defensive centers. They have specific roles. We try to like layer, so if one person falls down or makes a mistake, there's somebody like behind them that are supporting them. It all comes down to like this has been probably an expression that you've heard many times, but hockey should be called goalie, because it does come down to the goalie, and Jenna was fantastic last year, and I think she's the only goalie in the program to finish above 500. She won a lot of games for us. Chantel and Cam like pushed in practice, so they're also very good, and also good teammates. And in terms of the Ds, like just like Jess, Renee, and Izzy as sophomores this year, they played a ton of minutes their freshman year, so they got that experience. We do lose Crow, who's a great quintessential Penn State student athlete, and we will miss her for sure. But we have players that can hopefully fill her void. Round out the D like Morgan and Kate Ridlin, Olivia Villani, Mallory coming up as an incoming. So I think we'll be in pretty good shape as well. So just as long as they communicate and be tough, then then we'll be okay.
Coach, a lot of close games in conference play. What's going to be that next little step that this team needs to take in order to maybe come out on top on either some of the tie games or some of the close losses? What's going to be that next step to take down the conference opponents that
Yeah.
have been it's been that gauntlet for the team?
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Like we actually had internal discussions about non-league and league, and maybe my temperament is different when we play league. I personally don't think so, but like something that I'll pay attention to. We really, no matter if we're playing Syracuse or we're playing Cornell, we want to treat them both with respect and play hard. And it's actually when I was in the ECAC, like every game technically was life or death in terms of like 8 teams out of 12 making the playoffs. So with all 6 teams here making the playoffs, it's not life or death. You need to win 3 games or 2 games at the end of the year in February, and again, like that's what our focus is. But the ties, I think we've had 20 ties in 2 years, something like that, and so overtime games where we've won and lost. So we've been with all of our games, with maybe the exception of 2, we've been in every one with a chance to win it, and it's just a matter of like a couple of those games going in our favor at some point to really get momentum and confidence to know that we can do it. We do know that we can do it. We do know that we battle, but it's those big moments where we need to step up and execute and get a couple more wins.
And you guys hired a new director of operations over the offseason with Krista coming in and joining the program. How has it been getting her up to speed, and what does she bring in terms of her experience in helping you out day to day?
Yeah, like like Chris Demchek left to go to Stockdale in the American Hockey League, which is the Calgary Flames organization. So he was a Penn Stater, and he did a great job for us in the 2 years that he was here. But we're happy that, excited that Chris is on board. She's had experience at Colgate and Dartmouth, like both good hockey programs, and she's very knowledgeable about a whole bunch of things. Her biggest up to speed task is getting used to our video system here at Penn State, which is Exos, and the building's like wired Exos, and trying to get the technological part of it to make it easier for myself, who's very like technologically illiterate. So like I know how to do what I need to do, and she needs to get me to that point, and she will. Like she's been working hard, and we're also thankful for Alex Dawes, who's the men's hockey ops. He's been available and answering any questions that Kristen may have. So I mean, the cool part of working here is just both programs get along really well. We can walk down the hall and help each other, and if we need to move around ice times, we can do that, or if we need help on the power play, we can ask, and so I appreciate that relationship.